Good day everyone. Today we're going to learn about the type of fermentation. The type of fermentation can be divided into two parts, which are the fermentation with organic acid as the main product and the fermentation with ethanol and carbon dioxide as the primary product. For the lactic acid fermentation, it can be divided into two parts, which are the homolactic and heterolactic fermentation. For the homolactic fermentation, the NADH reduces the pyruvate directly to form lactate. And for the heterolactic fermentation, some of the lactate is further metabolized, which is resulting in the production of ethanol and carbon dioxide. Lactic acid fermentation is a biological process by which the glucose and other 6-carbon sugar are converted into the cellular energy and the metabolite lactate. The pyruvate molecule from the glucose metabolism can be fermented into lactic acid. The equations are as shown. And these are the examples for the product from the lactic acid fermentation. The most common one is the production of yogurt, cucumber pickle, olive, the kimchi, balau-balau, nam, and many more. The second type of fermentation that is commonly used in the industry are known as the ethanol fermentation. In ethanol fermentation, the pyruvate produced through the glycolysis process is converted into ethanol and carbon dioxide by the following steps. The pyruvate releases carbon dioxide to form a 2-carbon compound which is called acetaldehyde. And then the acetaldehyde is reduced by the NADH to ethanol, thereby regenerating the NAD+ for use in the glycolysis processes. 1 molecule of glucose is converted into 2 molecules of carbon dioxide and 2 molecules of ethanol. And lastly, the ethanol fermentation is typically performed by the presence of yeast, which is a unicellular fungus. The fermentation product for the ethanol fermentations are as beverages, for example, wine, beer, vodka, and many more. The substrate used for the fermentation include honey, cereal grain, and more. The function of this substrate is to have a sugar that can be fermented and converted to ethanol by yeast. The microorganisms used in food fermentations are usually yeast, Saccharomyces, and lactic acid bacteria. And for the microorganisms used in food fermentation, the most common one are yeast, the Lactococcus, and also the Streptococcus.
Next is the types of fermenter. What is fermenter? Fermenter, also known as a bioreactor, it's a vessel to support the growth of high concentration of microorganisms by providing the optimum environments. So there are several types of fermenter. There are 3 here. The first type is the mechanically agitated design, where the energy input follows biodiversity of bioreactor design. So there are a few examples. First one is dual impeller reactor, the second one self-inducing impeller, annual reactor, and lastly the rotating reactor. For the second type is a non-mechanically agitated design, where the energy input via circulating pump. The first example is the plunging jet, where the gas is entered at the top of the reactor and the liquid pumped through an external loop. The second example is a cyclone fermenter, where the gas is vented at the top of the separator and the liquid runs down the walls and pumped around the fermenter. For the last type is the non-mechanically agitated design, where the energy input via compressed air. The first example is a bubble column reactor, where the aeration drives mass transfer and bulk mixing. The air-lift reactor, where circulation providing a downcomer and rise section, and last but not least, an air-lift with external loop reactor.
Hello guys, it's me Kelvin, and I'll talk about the effect on food by fermentation. First, the fermentation acts as food preservation. For example, the acid produced by fermentation prevents any spoilage by some microorganism. Next, fermentation changes the flavor of food. For example, the flavor of wine is enhanced through fermentation. Third, the alteration of food chemicals characteristic. For example, the basic of fermentation which occur in the making of alcohol, where sugar turned into ethanol. Another example is also the fermentation of sugar, which it turned into lactic acid. Next, fermentation also adds nutrients into food. Some fermentation organisms produce vitamins and growth factors in the food. They also liberate nutrients locked in the plant cells and structures by indigestible material. Finally, fermentation split polymers into sugar. For example, in the production of tempeh, enzyme activity by Rhizopus oligosporus soften the soybean by the fermentation. By fermentation, this allows the soybean easier to digest, which its polymer has already been break down to simple sugar. That's all from me, thank you.